yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Born and dead, saved by love, count my blessing from above. Though in darkness, have no fear. Light will shine on those holding near. They know that sorrow they will pass. For I know in this life there will be something. But remember that love, yes it will. Love will reign. Yeah. Love will reign. Yeah. In my heart, I believe it. Love will reign. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Have a vision. It's clear and plain. People living life, smiling again. Oh, see the children. They know no pain. Far from pressure, stress and strain. Oh, sorrow, they will pass. For I know in this life there's gonna be some pain. But remember that love, yes it will. I know. Yeah. Love will reign. Gotta believe it. In my heart, I truly believe. Sun will shine again, and love, I can hardly wait. In the light of the sun, we'll all be together. There'll be peace, peace, sweet peace. There'll be peace, happiness and joy forever. Oh, one day, someday, pain will be over and love will reign. They won't last, for I know in this life there's gonna be some pain. But in the end, love will reign. Yeah. Love will reign.
Let's see if that fixed the volume. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Let's see if that fixed the volume. It did. All right. Can you hear me now? All right. Thank you so much. Can you hear me now? See if that fixed the volume. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? All right. It did. All right. All right. Thank you so much. Can you hear me now? See if that fixed the volume. Okay, let's make sure it's not giving an echo. That is hilarious. Okay. Let's just make sure. Okay, let's make sure it's not giving an echo. That is hilarious. Okay. Okay, cool. I think we're back and good. All right. So as I was saying, and I showed in the background one of the pictures that you could see. Thank you, Floor, and thank you for joining across platforms. Love and Stuff, Inside of Love and Stuff, Marcus Our Homes, YouTube events, Twitch TV, and Twitter. I'm on all of those tonight and grateful to be back. Was on a little bit of vacation, still am vacationing. And of course, getting my sweetest sweetie girl in the world all settled in law school, and I'm so proud of her. All right, but I had to share some of these photos because everybody's been talking about it, and I will share, and I hope that you will share with me as well. But I got to share some of these photos that people were sharing, and some people said, "Oh, this is not funny. This is not something we should be laughing at." But I think sometimes you find humor in interesting places and things. Let's see, did I find? Okay, did I? All right. Looking for those things that I added. Let's see. I did add an overlay, I thought. And so what about this picture here? Let's see if we can. I thought I added some other folks' pictures here. Some of these photos I thought were hilarious. And I'm hoping that it will come through really quickly. Okay, while it's doing that, I want to thank you for joining me across platforms. Let's see, I'm trying to find a quicker way to show it to you. If I just maybe open it, I could show it that way because it's spooling and not really giving me the chance to show it to you. All right. But it is hilarious that I think people found so much. Okay, let's open it this way. All right. People were finding so much fun with these videos. So let's see if it'll let me show my full screen, my entire screen. Let's see if it'll let me share my full screen. Do you see that picture? Is it showing you this picture? Can you see this picture? Is it showing you this picture? Oh, I don't see if it's showing you the picture. Yes, it is. So this is one of the pictures that I thought was absolutely hilarious. Chair. So there I was just minding my own business. What about this one? Now, I don't know who came up with these. I can't give credit to anybody or take it away. These are just, they're beyond me. They are beyond me. And what about this one? I saw this one and I just hollered. It was hilarious to me. Hilarious. And this one I pulled from Joy Reid's page. I do not own the rights to this, but she said she's going to tell her grandkids that it was Wakanda Forever versus the Avengers. And of course, this is someone's version of a Harriet Tubman, or they call her Chariot Tubman. I think there may be one more. The Agents of Wakanda, the Chair King, the Bama Blur, and Aquaman. And I wanted to show those. I think that was the last one. Oh, and of course, the Aquaman, who they've nicknamed him Aquaman, who swam across. And he is the focus of what I want to share tonight. Because while I think a number of the things that were shared were funny, and some people took offense to the laughter that people had and are still having. I mean, Black Twitter and the internet has won again because people are making memes and all kind of things about the Montgomery Brawl. So if you're not familiar, there was an incident. The video has probably gone viral. It's all over the internet about a fight that ensued from a security guard who looks like a senior statesman security guard who may have given direction to some Caucasian folks who did not want to adhere to the direction or did not take very well to it. And so as a result of that, a fight ensued, and not just a fight, because other people start jumping in on the Black guy, other Caucasian people. And some say the tossing of the hat was the signal, like, hey, y'all help me. But one of the things that really caught my attention more than anything else was this young man who we see swimming to go and to help. He swims across the water to the deck to help. And almost immediately after I saw this video, I received a text from a dear friend of mine. And in that text, my dear friend, who I thought of while this was happening, said to me, "You better know I'm swimming." And I thought of her, this dear friend, because among my friends, and I have some really amazing friends, I mean, really great friends, but among them, I know that I got some friends that will go to war for me about me. And it's not because I'm such a great friend to them, it's because they're great friends to me. I don't know about you, but my friends are much better friends to me than I could ever be to them. They might tell you otherwise, but the truth of the matter is, my friends go to the wall for me and would go to the wall for me more than I think I would go to the wall for them. And I try to go to the wall for my friends, but my friends outdo me hands down. Not that we're in competition, but they outdo me hands down in being there for me. Countless times, I can't tell you the countless number of times that my friends have been there for me. And so I thought of her first. I thought of her and I said, I pity the fool, like Mr. T. Remember when Mr. T said, I pity the fool. I pity the fool that would meet my friends after having done something to me on that shore or on the deck. Because I have friends that go hard in the paint, and a few cousin friends too, who go hard in the paint about me. And again, I am not as good a cousin to them as they are to me. I'm not as good a friend to them as they are to me. But I have friends who would swim for me. That's why I made that post the other day of friends. I got me some is what I said in the post, because everybody needs somebody who will swim for them. And everybody needs to know that they're well supported in their times of distress and their times of trouble. And boy, someone comes from out of nowhere to assist, it's definitely something I would pay attention to. And so I wanted to ask this question, not for me, but in a sense for me, right? In a sense, I'm asking you this question for me. Would you swim for me? And if, I'm not saying it from the friendships standpoint, but I'm saying it from this collective standpoint, right? I talked around Juneteenth about amalgamating the who-ness, about understanding who we are as a people, and that while we're not a monolith, we have things in common. We don't all believe the same faith. We're not all Buddhist, Christian, you name it, Muslim. We don't all practice the same orientations, right? We don't all frequent the same places. We don't all have everything in common. But what we do as a who-ness have is that we're African American, right? For those that are in the African American diaspora. So thinking about the who-ness, right? That we got to mobilize, organize, strategize, and vote, right? And I want to know if you see that as the same as I do as swimming for me, as jumping in to help me advance the things that will protect me. And I think until we think of it that way, while it was funny, and I'm going to re-show those, the chairs, the chair is going to live in infamy. I mean, it's going to be, that's going to go on. There'll be memes. I think, I don't think I could see a folding chair in church, and I probably will go to pieces laughing. It was hilarious. But the reality is, at the core, at the base of this situation for me, is that somehow a smoke signal went up. Some say the hat was the smoke signal. Some say the women got involved and said, hey, they were the smoke signal that this guy was in trouble because they were beating him, got him down on the ground, was beating him, right? Which, even if it was one-on-one, I think even if I am fighting a foe one-on-one, I think I want to know if there's somebody in the wings just in case, right? I don't know how you feel about that. But I think this concept of, right, swimming, helping, is an important concept that's missing to me in our community, in the African American diaspora especially. I think in our neighborhood, we're probably one of the few. Something tried to jump on me. Is that a bug? Help me, Lord. One of the few blocks in our neighborhood that still does block clubs. I haven't attended. I didn't attend this year. I haven't attended in a number of years, but I was at a jazz fest this year. But one of the few in our neighborhood that still does it. And there used to be a time, I was talking to one of my neighbors, where if one of us had, all of us had. If one of us was going to be going into a situation, all of us was going. If one of us was fighting, all of us was fighting. We might have fought each other sometimes, but we didn't let other people fight us. There was a time when parents looked out for the children of other parents, babysitting them, feeding them, playing. There was a time that from end to end, some adult knew what was going on the block and would notify other adults even if they weren't present. Bless your memory, Mrs. Pearson. There was a time that we looked out for each other. There was a time that people would swim for me, is the point. You get my point? Where the love of community was more prevalent. And that is a part of what's missing in what I think is important in the swim, in this concept of swim. Will you swim for me? Means, do you have enough love for the community that you see me as an extension of you? And I think we've got to hasten a return to that to the extent that we can. And this incident, I think, felt so good for so many people because it's speaking to that collective community. When we are in distress, we organize. Now we got to organize not just as a reaction. We got to organize as a way of life, a proaction, right? We got to be proactive to organize as a way of life instead of just reacting. Now I'm proud of the reaction. I must admit, I'm not a proponent of violence, but I am proud that African American people saw an African American man in distress and said, "Oh, hold on, not this time," and got engaged and involved in a state that is well known to be a very racially charged state. Still kind of, if you think the history of some of the things that have happened in Alabama. So I am wondering if you will swim for me, if you will see me in distress and see me as an extension of yourself and come to help. Because until our love gets to that place, we really haven't matured the love in the way I believe it is truly intended. It is a brother, sister's keeper kind of love that says, I have a responsibility for the well-being of those around me. There are so many applications of that. I'm just looking at the other devices. Mamet, thank you for joining us. There's so many applications of that. I was just reading earlier in the post. We should be having the conversation, right, about our community and the domestic violence that's happening in our community. So my question to you is, would you swim for me if I were in a domestic violence situation? Would you swim for me if you knew that I had not found the courage to walk away from a relationship that was verbally abusive? Would you swim? He's trying to give me some stream issues. Okay. Would you swim for me? Would you swim for me? If my son or daughter got into trouble, would you swim for me? Would you go the length and distance as an extension of yourself, considering me as an extension of yourself? I want to ask you that question. I want you to challenge yourself to answer it. Much like this young man, I didn't get his name, but they call him Aquaman. I mean, these memes are the internet has won again. But I see a real serious point in this, really. I mean, it was a serious situation. Anybody that's going to go jump in the water and swim, like, your adrenaline is going. People have out there saying black people can't swim. We got some swimmers for you, right? But this young man jumps in the water and swims to the other side, like, I'm ready to throw hands. And throw hands he did. And again, I'm not advocating for the violence part, but I am excited that he got up. He got up. He got in the water and swam to be of assistance. That's a real serious thing when people that maybe are stranger to you. I don't know if there is a connection between the two of them, but do you have skin in the game with your skin folks that are kin folks? Do you have skin in the game if the women in our community are being stalked, harassed, abused? Will you swim for them? Our children that are being molested and maligned and manipulated. If you see them in distress, would you swim for them? Our elected officials who we elect and we think that they can solve all problems, and they're just wanting you to come and raise your voice and hear your concerns and be a part of the community and be a part of the solution. When they are in those rooms voting by themselves, will you swim for them? Your pastor, your spiritual leader, who's trying to revitalize your neighborhood and trying to revitalize your church and trying to do all that he can to build up and he's waving the hat, will you swim for him or her? Will you swim? I am heartened that I have people in my life who would see me in distress or think that I was in distress. I got people in my life who would think if it looked as if I was in distress, they would be swimming. And that's what led me to utilizing that tonight, because I got the text and one of those persons said, I'm swimming. And what if we had a community? What if we built community that said, if you're in distress, I'm swimming. If you are in an abusive relationship, I'm swimming. If you're in financial distress, I'm swimming. What kind of community would we really have? I want to hear from you. And a few of you have joined with Mamet and Jennifer Troy and Flor Belong. I can't see across the other platforms at this moment. That's why I was looking around. I'm trying to monitor. I want to hear from you. Maybe you won't swim for Marcus Holmes. Maybe you won't swim for Love and Stuff, but the larger diaspora. Will you swim for those that are in distress, that are part of the African American diaspora, the community at large? We are a voyeur society almost. We watch these things that happen to people and we make memes of them. And I must admit, some of the memes are hilarious. Someone inboxed me and said, you just shouldn't be having that much fun at what is a serious situation. And I apologize if they felt that way about it. I felt truly that what I watched was pretty funny. The chairs memes and Aquaman and the Avengers versus Wakanda Forever. People were very creative. But we do have a tendency to gawk and to watch what's happening in our world from the sidelines, right? It's comfortable here. It's comfortable not to get into the throes of things and to watch and point and say, look what they're doing. Ooh, get them. Ooh, do it. Let me buy me a chair. Someone even showed a meme where they were ordering off Amazon the chair. Many of these were hilarious. But when you really think about it, we live in a society and time where we are so fascinated. We all are so fascinated with what is happening in other people's lives and in the world at large. And oftentimes we're doing it from the sidelines with no commitment to get into the game or no commitment to get into the water. So what happens is we live from sensational moment to sensational moment, watching other people's lives and not seeing them as an extension of ourselves to make a difference in their lives. And I think that this, among many others, is really caught into a chord in us. It struck a chord in us where we say, it's kind of like the Me Too, right? Boy, if that was me, I'd be throwing a chair, right? Some people were thinking that. Boy, I'd be throwing a punch. Boy, I'd be swimming. Boy, I'd get over there, right? Well, you do have a chance. Maybe not to get into a brawl. Maybe not. Maybe not to go to Montgomery. Maybe not. But right in the town and city where you live, right in the suburb and urban area that you live, there is someone who needs you to swim to them. And I don't think that if you thought about it very long, you won't have to think about it very long, rather, to identify who that is. There's some single mother who is drowning, who could use someone that she could trust with her kids to watch them as a latchkey because she can't afford it. There is an elderly person who's trying to live on their own who could stand you to walk down and check on them every now and then. Go pick up their medication, help them, take them to church on Sunday. There is, as I earlier aforementioned, there are women in our community that are in abusive relationships. and they just need a safe haven until they can gather the courage to leave that relationship, until they can get the finances together to leave that relationship. There are people who need you and I to swim for them. And I'm wondering how many of us will really do it? Or will we continue to enjoy the memes and enjoy them? I did. Will we continue to, from sensational story to sensational story, be insatiated? I mean, we cannot get enough of this story, right? These memes are getting better every hour. When I thought I had seen the funniest meme, they've gotten better every hour. I didn't think they could outdo it. The internet has won. It broke itself and won. These memes have been beyond funny to me. But after I'm laughing, once I'm thinking about it, it really does hit home to me. The chord that really struck in me, I don't know about you, was unity. These people unified around a cause that, no, you're not. Now, some people might say they lost sight of the cause. You could argue that, but they were ignited by a cause. I don't think it was fear that ignited them. Maybe there was anger in there. Maybe there's frustration in there. Maybe it's the long-term impacts of injustice in there. But they united for a cause, to save a brother in distress. Oh, no, not this time. We won't be bystanders. Standers by is what I wanted to say. We will get involved. And I'm wondering if we shouldn't follow their lead. Now, let me be clear that I'm not telling you to go buy the picnic chair. We call them church chairs. And if you know, like I know, years and years ago, I grew up in the Baptist church. Years and years ago, we would borrow those chairs. We had wooden ones before we had metal ones. I don't know. I might be dating myself. We had wooden chairs at our church that we used in the basement and the fellowship hall before we got the plastic chairs and then the metal chairs. We had those wooden chairs. And we sat in those wooden chairs in our junior church. Anybody that knows anything about the Dexter Avenue Baptist Church, we had junior church. And we had chairs, right? These were these wooden chairs, hardback. But we would borrow those wooden chairs. You could borrow them and you could have your birthday party in your basement when you needed extra chairs. I don't know, everybody might not have had that experience, but I did. You can borrow those chairs. And you need to bring them back in good condition. It was years after that we started to have these metal chairs, right? And I never once thought about picking that metal chair up and hitting anybody. But I can tell you, watching the violence of it, I thought these people in this circumstance decided to say, no, this is not going to happen here. And I'm just wondering if we could, particularly in the African American diaspora, but beyond, if we could say, I see you in distress. I see you brokenhearted. I see you financially devastated. I see you marginalized. I see you underrepresented. And I will swim for you. Not I will beat you over the head with a chair. See, I'm not saying that. Because I'm not a proponent of violence. I'm not saying, let's get together and beat some tail. That's what some people say, No, we're not our ancestors. I get it. I do. But I also think that from a proactive embedding in our culture and lifestyle, because I believe we are a communal people, that this is a clarion call potentially to return to that. To say, I am my brother's keeper. And if my brother is in distress, even if I'm on the other side, I'm going to swim to help my brother. That, I think, is a huge leap forward for the diaspora to say, you know what, this call to unity, that we will stand united, that we will amalgamate the who-ness. Who are we? Who are we in common? Because we could divide by Pentecostalism and Protestantism, and we could divide by the haves and the have-nots and the wants. We could divide by the talented and the talented tenth. We could divide by the athletic and the not. We could divide by the Greek organizations and not. We could divide by orientation. We could divide, we could divide, we could divide, we could divide, we could divide. That division could be a tool of the whole system to divide us, right? But we could also say, let's amalgamate the who-ness. Let's bring together, combine who we are. No, we're not all alike. We're not a monolith, but we are alike in some ways. And what are those ways? Oh, we're all in the African American diaspora. Can we amalgamate the who-ness? You don't have to lose that you are Protestant or that you are Pentecostal. You are AME, CME, UMC. You don't have to lose that you're Jack and Jill or you're blue collar or white collar. You don't have to lose that, but you could amalgamate the who-ness, that we are unified by this common core, this core place that we come from, that really the center of the world does, but that's another discussion. We amalgamate the who-ness. I feel that call. And whether I'm on this side and you're on that side, this side could be I'm in financial distress and you are in financial wealth, right? It could be I am in great health and you are struggling with mental health, right? When I see the cap tossed or when I see the signal that you are in distress, some chord in me, some major chord, if you will, for music, strikes in me and says, we are one. I am an extension of you. Therefore, I'm swimming. I'm on my way. Here I come. I'm coming to get you. I'm coming to help you out. I think that call to unity is what I think is this thread that's going through this story that makes this story so relevant for so many people. It's not just get them because they've been getting us, get them. I think people are thinking that. There are some are saying, I'm glad, get an extra hit in for me. Oh, that one was for me, that chair. There are people who think that, right? But I got to believe that some of the higher parts of ourselves is responding to a chord of unity that that's my brother. And that's what it used to be. That's my beautiful Black sister. That's my great human. And I'm going to help. I'm going to support. I'm going to be in league with them who are in distress. I believe it's the big call of love. Yes, love has called us. Love is calling us, right? And love is God. God is love. And this quintessential love that is, I say quintessential because he is love. He doesn't just manufacture love or make love. He is love, right? That he has called us to love him back with all we got. Mind, body, soul, strength, right? Love the Lord that God with everything you got. I'm paraphrasing, right? And he says, and your neighbor as yourself. That's this call that I think we try to answer, right? Try to, because we're imperfect in our machinations of trying, in our method to trying. But that's what we try to do, right? Love our neighbor as ourselves. I believe that self is the neglected love. That's why we don't love our neighbors right. That's why Joe Smith was making a post. Why? When are we going to talk about these men that are killing their ex-wives? Because they don't have the they haven't worked out the self-love part, the neglected love part. No one who loves themselves is going to do harm to someone else. It's a self-love issue. It's a self-hate issue. It's a self-indifference issue, right? And so the self-love is the neglected love because nobody told us about loving ourselves. We've been embedded in a culture that says you are for hire, you are for prison, you are for hard labor. No one spent time telling us to love ourselves. They said, wash your memories of all of the love that you had in that motherland, because that love is no one here loves you like that. And we were built in a society that built from a plantation society that moved to an industrial society, which was the new plantation. No disrespect to the people who made wonderful salaries and built great lives off production type of environments. But those same rules, the same control, the same mentality was taken from indentured slaves into plantations, into productions. And no one is telling us that your value is more than a widget you make. Your value is more than the overtime or the work conditions that you work under. No one was saying you need to love you. God said it. Somebody said, Mary said it. No, God said it, right? But we weren't living it. So no wonder there are people that do all of these types of things. It's not just some spirit got a hold of them. I'm not saying that spirits don't get hold of people. I'm saying a lot of our actions come from our brokenness and our inability to love ourselves. We're in relationships with people, but do you love you? So how you gonna love somebody else if you don't love yourself, right? And that's where the neighbor dilemma comes in. Because it says, love the Lord your God with all your mind, body, soul, and strength. I'm paraphrasing, with everything you got. And your neighbor as yourself. Now, come on, that phrase means you got to love yourself. And the way you love yourself is the same way that you're going to ration out to your neighbor. So think about it. If we just took those two pieces on, now you can't forget where it emanates, right? Let's just for a moment say that's the given. That God loves you and he's expecting you to learn to love him back. I'm going to use that as the given. And I know there are people that don't believe in that, and there are people that don't believe in God. I honor and respect your position. I see you, I hear you, and I value your presence. But God loves you, and he wants you to love him back. But he wants you to love you so that you can love others. And I want to ask you something that different than what I asked earlier. Would you swim for me? Would you want me to swim for you? Would you want somebody to swim for you? I want you to think about that. Would you want somebody to swim for you? If your answer is yes, that when you are in your lowest moment and your back is against the wall and there are 3 or 4 adversaries and they're getting the best of you and you feel overpowered and overwhelmed and understaffed and underrepresented, when you feel powerless, would you want someone to get to you to help you? If your answer is yes, absolutely, of course, who wouldn't? Well, then we have to ask ourselves, is that what we're doing in our communities? You and I know that we see young men that are going in the wrong direction, young women that are going in the wrong directions, that some of them are in these relationships and they should not be in these relationships with these men who already see that they don't love themselves. And they are in a prime position for men to take advantage of them because they see that they don't love themselves. We see them, but do we watch and make memes? Do we watch from the sideline? Or do we let them know, I see your signal. I see your hat tossed. I see you took your shirt off. I see that you need help. And here I come. It's somebody in the community that we all can help. My love for children and seniors. I have the challenge in my love quotient with everybody in between. That's where I got to work. That's what I'm working on. The people in between. The children, great. Seniors, great. It's the people in between that are a little dicey that I got to work on. My love quotient, the amount of love I give and the amount of love that I will receive from, let's call them the in-betweens. But there's a senior somewhere who just needs some company. They're drowning in depression because their friends have died. Their children have died, their very children. Their spouse is deceased. And no one is there to help them through these depressive times. They've thrown the flag up. They haven't been out of the house for days. And nobody's knocked on the door. Hey, you all right? Just coming to check on you. Would you like something to eat? I made a little extra. Do you need some help with your grass? You need me to shovel the snow? Or I'm not shoveling the snow, but let me get my landscaper. I can have him do yours too. You need me to pull your trash can? You going to church Sunday? Okay, where's your church at? Maybe I can take you to your church. Some child who is drowning and not learning at the level, not coping with the pandemic well. They're removed and they're not all like they should be, right? What can we do? Thank you, Karen. Hey there. Thank you, Stacy. Both of you for joining. I hope you'll click share. I'm just talking about now I know Stacy will swim for me. I got a sense that Karen might too. But think about the swim for me in a little different way. And I showed some pictures earlier, right? And it kind of messed up my sound, so I won't do it again. But I showed the picture of who they're calling Aquaman, and I think every hour these memes are getting better every hour. The internet has broke itself with these memes around this Montgomery Brawl. But there is some love lesson to take out of it, because a chord of unity has been struck, I think, because people have had enough. And I don't want it to be lost on me or anybody else. And I didn't mention it earlier. 24 hours before this happened, there was a Trump rally. And we kind of have been seeing as a pattern that where he is for a rally, shortly after, there are kind of some civil unrest type of situations. Okay. But that aside, because he's got enough indictments, so I don't want to indict him on anything else. And those memes on the white chair almost took me out. But something in this, Karen, something in this, I think, is a good lesson for love, because our tendency, we're in a social media world where we consume and gawk and stand on the side and watch what's happening in our world. And we go from sensational story to sensational story to sensational story. And it seems like this one has struck a chord of unity where people say, you know what, I'm fed up and I'm going to stand up for my people. I'm just wondering, how do we amalgamate the who-ness and bring this home to our communities where we say, I will swim for you, just as you said, swim, climb a mountain, and bring my white chair. How will I do that for the kids in my neighborhood or the seniors in my neighborhood? I'm working at the group between, because them is the ones I got to work on. Pray for me. But how do I Say, I see that you've thrown the hat up. I see that you've made the signal. And now I'm answering the clarion call to help you. And how do we do that from a proactive standpoint? At every aspect of our being. Do we do it with our politicians who sometimes are in rooms on our behalf by themselves and they don't know that we have their back because we aren't saying I'll swim for you, right? We're not giving them, when they move away from big business and don't take their donations, we're not backing them up to give them the money to run their campaigns, right? Do we stand with the pastor who is trying to revitalize the neighborhood and revitalize the church, but he don't have anybody that will stand for him when he's burned out, right? Do we stand for our spouses? Do we stand for the women, the single mothers who don't have latchkey money to say, I'm a safe haven for your children like it used to be? Latchkey is a new thing to me, because in the 70s, latchkey was my neighbors. If my parents were working both at the same time, though they had different shifts at points, if they weren't there, there were neighbors that my parents entrusted me to and said, you better mind them. And if they tell me, they can whoop you and I'm gonna get you. That was latchkey. Why? Where are we saying, I will come, or I will swim for you? Where do we get back to this community since this chord has been struck with us of unity? Black people are saying, get them. Now, I'm not for the violence, but I think people are tired, right? Clearly, no, not again. You're not doing us. But where it bring that same, keep that energy. I think it's the same. Keep that same energy when there is a woman who you know is being physically, emotionally, and verbally abused, and she needs a safe haven. Swim for her. When you see somebody else's kid that is experimenting with drugs, swim for him. Because we cannot dare say that we love ourselves if we don't extend that love to the extension of ourselves, which is the diaspora, the African American diaspora. We are but a communal connection. And I hope that we can get back to that. I know it sounds idealistic, right? In this day and time, mothers against daughters, fathers against sons. But at some point, everybody needs a swimmer. Everybody needs someone to stand up and say, I'm coming to help you. And what a wonderful thing it would be if that was just our everyday, that it didn't take us to react to an incident, right? Because we will react to incidents. And some people will say it was the wrong reaction. I think there were some good things in the reaction, that he threw up his hat. Some say that ain't really the sign, but some people responded. And women got involved and said, oh, no, you're not. Oh, come on, help us. And got other brothers involved. There was a time when we said our beautiful Black sisters, and we weren't gonna let nobody disrespect our beautiful Black sisters. Now we disrespect them because they H's and B's. No, we need a sister at the restaurant with that man who's mistreating her. She needs to know, give me the eye, and we're going to take care of it with our white chair. No, we're going to take care of it, right? We're going to ensure that you're safe because we will swim for you. Everybody needs somebody to swim for them. Everybody needs that. And what if we rebuilt our communities with that in mind, that I'm going to swim for my people? What a diaspora we would have. I think what we have in Montgomery, I'm not there. I don't know the story. I'm not on the ground. I love that Joy Reid earlier did a show, and she showed a picture on her page. She said, I'm going to tell my grandkids it was the Avengers versus Wakanda Forever. But I'm not there to say what specific set of facts occurred. I just know, like you, there was a Black man in distress. And Black people stood up and said, no, you won't do that to him. No, you won't jump him in. As a matter of fact, I'm going to jump in. I will swim for him. I will come to the scene and help out. And all I'm wondering is for our love lesson is whether or not we see ourselves as an extension of each other like we used to. Are we telling our children that they're part of a community like they used to be? And it's not too late to tell them. I was just talking to someone. Many of you know that my sweetest sweetie girl in the whole wide world is, I'm starting a whole new, let me just clarify. I'm her uncle and I consider her like my daughter. Her dad is well and fine. He is in her life. It is in a situation where he isn't. So I wouldn't want people to think, but I've always had a great relationship with Autumn. And Autumn is my sister's daughter. And when her mother passed, I stepped up to be more active. I was already active with Autumn, but to be more active. So I want to clarify that so that everybody understands that. But I feel very much that Autumn is not like my other nieces. She's more like a daughter to me. I love all my nieces, and they all know that Autumn is more like a daughter to me. Like a daughter to me. Okay, that's how I consider it. And she's in Houston, where I have one cousin and a few folks that I know. And I had a member, one of the seniors. I told you I love seniors. I love children. I'm working on the people in between. A senior came to me and said, well, I got family there. I got this cousin and that cousin and this cousin, that, and they can cook. So anytime Autumn needs anything, that was community to me. What she was saying to me in essence is, if Autumn's in distress, I'll swim. And there used to be a time that is how we existed. That's how we got to where we are. So this is, for me, a clarion call to share with all young people that they are part of something great, of a great community that will stand up, not just when we're in distress, but if we're in distress, here I come. They should have the sense of safety, that they have a place to go. That's why I used to love the block club, because the block club gave you a chance to see all the kids that were in the neighborhood. So you got to put an eye on the kids and see, okay, good one, bad one. Who do I need to work on? Who I need to make sure I ain't stealing stuff. It gave you a chance to build rapport, connection, and relationship so that you could tell them, no, you belong to us. I heard a pastor once say, James Perkins once said, in his neighborhood, all of the mothers on the street could get you, which is not uncommon, at least from as I grew up. But he talked about a specific woman who wore her house coat and she used to chew tobacco, or smack, I think he called it. And she would just stand in the window and he'd get ready to throw a rock at the window and she'd just do this from the window. And he knew not to do it. He said this one woman could miles around run the neighborhood because she knew what was going on, and she'd look out the window chewing her smack in her night coat or dress coat, whatever you call it, petticoat, whatever you call it, and she'd be in the window and she'd see him getting ready to throw it. He'd rear back, I'm gonna throw that rock, and she'd go. She didn't even bang on the window. She was just in the window letting him know we see each other, right? And that was how they commanded the entire, they were the neighborhood watch. We had a neighborhood watch person on my block. I couldn't go a half day without her reporting who came home with me on the half day. Bless her memory. She knew what time I got home, what time I left. Well, he came home from school and dropped his books off, and then he left. My parents had a rundown of everything that had happened. I'm like, I know who did this, but there wasn't anything I could do about it because she knew that my parents were on board with keeping things in order. I had a gentleman across the street, bless his memory, who got me my favorite job that I ever had in life. My favorite job, my favorite boss that I ever had in life. And one day I was doing something. He said, "We're not doing that." We're not doing that. 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 We're not doing that You might do this, but we're not doing that. And that's all that he had to say. And I knew when my parents got home, they would be saying, I second that emotion. It was rarely a time that there was a disagreement among parents about what we're doing here. They could come down and say, I just had to, you ain't got to tell me. Good, thank you. And I'm gonna touch it up too. I'm gonna take care of it. Because that is how it was. I know we're far from that. But this event, this Montgomery Brawl, has brought back to my mind, and maybe it struck a chord with you, that we all need someone in our community who will swim for us, who will help us get back on track and recover from whatever we are experiencing. I think it's time that we make it a part of our everyday. That not only do we get our love consideration together by loving God in the way that He has called us to love Him, loving ourselves as He has called us to love Him, but also loving our neighbors as ourselves. I wanted to take that time out tonight to ask you to swim for me. I want to swim for you. And I want you to join the Love and Stuff community if you haven't already by clicking follow on that page so that you can be notified of the things that we do. And we can continue to build community that are going to help people find the kind of love, find the love in God, find the love within themselves, and then share. You're ready to up your love game. This is a wonderful community to join. And I hope that you will join us in this community. Join us tomorrow at 6 p.m. with Darren Williams, who's a part of our community, with Love and the Scriptures, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then a week from Saturday, Kamau and Felix, two fellows who love sports, will be back with us with Sports Talk with Kamau and Felix. I'm excited that you have come tonight. I hope that you will click share. Tag 5 of your closest Facebook friends, Twitch TV, Twitter, or YouTube events connections, 5 of the more popular ones, and ask them, will you swim for me?